In this tutorial we will learn how to handle forgot password. I have already created a Next.js project using TypeScript. UI will not be the focus of this tutorial, so I have also created the views. You will need to install these packages. First is Axios for calling API from front end. Then bcrypt.js to hash the password. Mongoose for accessing mongoDB. I'm using resend to send email. You can use any service provider. Then in dev dependencies we have types for bcrypt. And Sass as I have used it for styling. Let's start by creating the APIs. In app I'll create API folder. Here create folder auth. And inside it I'll create a folder forgot password. Inside it create a file route.ts. Export async function, then name of the HTTP method. In this case post. It will receive request of type request. First we'll connect to database. Then find the user with email that they have entered in the form. Then we'll create a reset token. Save this token in database. And then send the password reset link in email. So let's first create a function to connect to DB. In the root of project create .env.local file. Here we'll add mongoDB URL. In this tutorial I'll be using transactions, but to use them in mongoDB you should have a replica set. As configuring replica set is out of the scope of this tutorial, I'll be using mongoDB Atlas. So here add URI for Atlas database. If you are using database locally, make sure you have configured it as replica set or you may get some errors. If you are a beginner, I won't recommend to set up the replica set unless you know what you are doing. To write the connection function, create a new folder lib in app. Inside it create a file mongodb.ts. Here we import mongoose. Then destruct mongodb URL from process.env. Check if it is empty, then throw an error. Now create an async arrow function. First we'll check if mongoose.connection.readyState is not 0. If that is the case, then don't connect again and return because our connection is already established. Here you can see ready state 0 means disconnected. Now add a try-catch block. Inside the try we destruct connection from response returned from mongoose.connect. Pass connection string here. Now check if ready state is one that is DB is connected, then return promise.resolve true. And in the catch return promise.reject error. In app folder, create a folder models. Inside it, create user.ts. Here we'll import some things from Mongoose. First is schema, then model, and finally models. Then import hash from bcrypt.js. Const user schema equals new schema. Here we give fields for our user. First is email of type string. Unique true. I want this field to be required. Also give custom error message. And then in match I'll give a regular expression to validate email, and also give custom error message here. Next field will be name, of type string. Required true. It'll have a minimum length of 4 and a max length of 30. I've also provided custom error messages. Next we have password, which is also a string. It'll be a required field. Select false if you don't want password to be visible in the response of find queries. You can also provide a minimum length to it. As we don't want to save password as it is in DB, we'll hash it before saving it. And we'll use Mongoose pre-save hook to do that. Here we check if password is not modified. Then we don't do anything and call next function and return. Which means continue with the next middleware in the chain. Otherwise we save hashed password. This .password equals to await hash. Here we provide this .password and a salt value. Make sure to use function keyword here because in arrow functions this points to global scope. And you might see unexpected behavior. Now we'll create const user. If there is existing model we'll use it by models.user, else we'll create a new one. Then export default user. Now let's create schema for reset token. We'll save a unique token for user when they request forgot password. After user updates the password or when link expires we'll invalidate this token. In models create a file forgot password token.ts. Import schema, models and model from Mongoose. Then create token schema. It will have user ID of type schema.types.object_id. Required true. Ref user. Then we have token of type string. Required true. Unique true. Created at, so that we can expire the token. It will be of type date. Default value date.now. Then we have reset at. This helps us invalidate the token once the password is updated. Now create const forgot password token. If there is existing model, we'll use it by models.forgot password token, else we'll create a new one. Then export default forgot password token. Now we'll set up resend to send emails. You can use any other service provider and follow their documentation. To use resend, we need to make an account. After we are logged in, we create an API key and copy it so that we can use it later. You can also add your own domain here. For this tutorial, I'll use the onboarding email. Let's open the documentation. Select Node.js from side menu. Then select Next.js. We have already created the API key, and you can also add and verify your domain. Make sure you have installed the package. We'll select example with app folder. Copy this environment variable and add it in env file. Here provide the value of your key. Our resend setup is complete. Now we can start to write code for our API. Open route file for forgot password. First add a try-catch statement. Here call the connect to database function. Import next response from next server. Then we get email from request. And then we find user based on the email. Make sure to import the model. If user was not found, we return an error. Otherwise we create a token, it should be unique and random so that it is hard to guess. I'm using crypto.randomuUID function twice to create the token. RandomUID function will create string with dashes. So to make it even harder to guess, I'll remove the dashes. Now we'll save this token. Make sure to import this model. Here we pass ID of the user found by email. Then the reset token. Then pass null in reset at as initial value. Create a password reset link. Base URL, then reset password. /token. I've defined base URL in constants. And I've also created constants for other API URLs. Now from the send email section in resend documentation, copy these. And paste them here. We have already added this variable in env file. Now we copy the email sending code. And paste it here. Change from email with the one you want to send emails with. Also change the subject. Now we'll create an email template. In Components folder, create a folder email. Here create a file forgot template.tsx. Create a React component, name it email template. Add interface for props. Here give name of user, it will be of type string. And a reset link of type string as well. Destruct the props here. Remove this and add a div here. Email template file should be self-sufficient, that is, any images or styles should not be referenced locally. To achieve that, I'll use style attribute instead of creating a separate CSS file and importing it. And here define this style. Const main styles of type react.css properties. Give width of 60%. Margin left and right, auto. Now we add a heading forgot password. Give style, name it title styles. Below the heading, we show a greeting to our user. Give text styles here. Here add another paragraph with text styles. This will inform users to click on the button to reset their password. Under it we add a link with link styles. And href, where we pass reset link coming in props. Give a title. Below it we add another p tag with text styles. Here we inform the users that after 2 hours their link will expire. Now we will start to define these styles one by one. First is title styles. Font size, 1.25 rem. Text align, center. Then we define text styles. Here give font size, 1.1 rem. Now define link styles. Give some padding. And a background color. Border radius of 4 pixels. Width, 150 pixels. Color white. Display grid. Place items, center. Cursor, pointer. Font size, 1.1 rem. Text decoration, none. With this, our email template is complete. Open the route.ts file and import the template. Here we need to pass name and reset link. Now send success response. If there was an error, it will come in catch. Here we'll send the error response. Now we'll call this API from front end. In app folder, I have already added the page for forgot password. Here I have used the forgot password form component. This component is created in components auth folder. It'll be a client-side component, so I have added use client at the top. Here we're showing app name or logo. And under it there is a form with a title forgot password. Then we have an input field and a button. And then we have a link to go back to login page. I have passed a function in on change of the input. Here we set the state with event.target.value. Pass a function to on submit of the form. Let's create this function. It will receive event of type react.formEvent, HTML form element. Call e.preventDefault. Now we'll validate the form. To do that, we create a new state to set errors. It'll be of type input error. In app folder, I have created a folder for types. And here I've added interface for input error. It'll be an object with a string key and a string error message. Now we check if email is empty, we set the error. I will not check validity of an email because I've already checked it during sign-up process. So if invalid email is entered in forgot password form, user will not be found in the API. Now you need to show this error. In my custom input component we can pass a prop for error message. Validation error.email. This key is same as the one we set here. If I show you my component, you can see it has an input field and a label. And below it there is a p tag showing error message. Now if we open the form and click submit, we'll see an error. In the handle forgot password function, I'll add an else statement. Here I'll reset the errors. Now I'll add a few more states. First is submit error, to set error that come in API response. Then state to set success message of API. Then a Boolean state loading. In the else statement I'll also reset API error and success message. Then add a try-catch statement. In try set loading to true, and after that we call our API. I misspelled the set loading, so I'll fix it. Before calling the API, we'll make handle forgot password function async. Const API response equals to await axios.post. Here pass API URL and email address. Make sure to import Axios. Forgot password API URL is already created in constants. This URL is such because we have our route.ts file in API auth then forgot password folder. If API returns success, then set success message with API response.data.message. I'll remove set submit error from here and reset error when there is success. In catch, check if error is an instance of Axios error. Make sure to import it. Here we set submit error state. Now under the submit button I'll show success message. And here I'll show the submit error message that is coming from API. Success text and error text are simple components to show text. Now I'll open the form and enter an email that does not exist in DB. We can see this error is returned from server. Now I'll add loading prop to submit button. If I open my button component, you can see that we receive loading props here. We show processing if loading is true, otherwise we show children, which is button title in this case. We set loading to true before calling the API. And make sure to set it to false after API has returned response. If I submit again, you'll see processing. I have also disabled the button based on loading. It will be useful as we don't want users to send multiple requests to our backend at a time, as it may cause some issues. You can also change the style of disabled button to make it even more user-friendly. Now I'll enter an email that is present in database. Success message will be shown here. Open Resend dashboard. There is an email that we just received. Open the email to see its content. Here this is the name of user. I'll open this link in new tab. It shows 404 because I made a spelling mistake. I need to fix this in route.ts and forgot password. And I've already created a page in auth group. Here I have a folder reset password. Inside it we have token folder wrapped in square brackets to make it a dynamic route. And inside it is page.tsx. Here we get the props like this. Reset password props is defined in types folder. I'm passing params to my custom component which is present in components folder. Here we destruct params of type reset password props. At the top we have the app title or logo. Then we have a form with title reset password. 2 input fields for password and confirm password, and a button. I'll send the forgot password request again. Open the email and open the link. Now we'll write the API to reset password. In API auth folder, create a folder reset password. Here create route.ts. Export async function, then name of the HTTP method. It will receive request of type request. Add a try-catch block. Destruct password and reset token from await request.json. Now connect to MongoDB and make sure to import the function. First we'll find the token in our database. Import forgot password token from models. We find on the basis of three things. First is token. Then reset at, here null means the link sent an email has not been used to change the password yet. Then we need to check if token is expired or not. So for created it we'll use comparison query operators. Here we provide the date that is 2 hours before the current date. Let's visualize this. Imagine this is a timeline. And this is the current time. And this is the time 2 hours ago from current time. If created at is less than this time it means token is expired. That means created at needs to be greater than this time to be valid. Therefore we have used greater than operator in our query to get token that was created less than 2 hours ago. If we get empty response it means token is invalid, so we return error. Now we need to update reset at so that user cannot use the same link multiple times. And then we'll update the password. We'll make these changes in transaction, because if one of them fail we want to undo both. For example, if password fails to update we don't want to change reset at and vice versa. To do that we'll create session first. I'll create session variable outside the try so that I can also use it in catch. Session equals to await start session. Import start session from mongoose. Session.start transaction. Now first we'll set the reset at to current date. Await password reset token.save. And here we pass our session variable. Now to update the password we find the user by ID. Now update the password. Then wait user.save. And here pass session. Now we commit the transaction. And finally session.end session. Send success response. If there was any error, we abort the transaction and use optional chaining to make sure session is not null. If error was an instance of validation error, make sure to import mongoose here. I'll use this code to get the error message and return it. Otherwise I return error like this. Let's call the API from our form. Open reset password component. Here I've already created state. And on change of input I set the state. Let's create a state for validation error. It will be of type input error. Now create state for error after form submission. Then we have state for loading of type boolean. Pass a function to onSubmit of the form. Create handle reset password. It will be an async function. Call e.prevent default. Check if password is empty. Here data is the state we created. Then set validation error. Now we add empty check for confirm password. Then we check if both inputs don't match, then set an error for that. Here I used confirm password key because I want to show this error below confirm password input. Now I'll pass error to my custom input component. You can also add any other validation. I'll also add check for password length. And in the else I reset the errors. Now add a try catch. Inside the try we'll call the API, so first set loading to true. Const API response equals to await axios.post. Here give API URL. Then we also pass the password from data state. And token which is received in param props. Make sure to import Axios. And this URL is defined in constants. If API returns success. Reset submission error. Now you can either show a success message or redirect, depends on your use case. I'll redirect to login page, in my case it is the home page. Create a router. Const router equals use router. Import use router from Next navigation. In catch I set submit error. And here I'll show this error. Now I'll pass loading prop to button, so that it can be disabled based on it and multiple requests are not sent. Now if I submit the form we can see the errors. First is for empty fields. Then passwords don't match error. And finally for the minimum length. Before updating the password I'll show you the database. Here you can see the ending characters of password. Now I'll enter valid input. And click on reset. It has redirected to login page. Now if I open the database again and refresh the page. You can see password has been changed. Now if I open the same link again. And try to reset the password, it will show this error. I need to fix one thing. Here you can see it's still saying processing. So I also need to set loading to false. Let's refresh the page. Now if I open code for sending emails, you can change the from email with the one you want to send emails with. And also in the to email we provide users email, so that link is sent to them. With this our forgot password is complete. If you liked the video please hit the thumbs up and ask any question in the comments below. And support my channel by subscribing.